if you could give advice to all the girls now being in a relationship,
Yes.
to all the single girlies, what would you say?
Don't stress
Yeah.
about being in a relationship, and like don't think that because you're getting older that you need to settle.
Welcome back to another episode of Way Too Wifey. I'm your host, respectfully Gabby, and in this podcast we talk all things dating and relationships in this modern day. Today we're going to skip all of the nonsense. We have a guest, Alessia. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, she actually has her own podcast. Do you want to
Yes.
introduce yourself?
Yes, so I have my podcast called X the Podcast. It originally started with my best friend. Typical, you probably heard that story before.
Yeah.
Starting a podcast with your best friend, and shocking, we're still best friends.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Wanted to ask about that because I feel like that is such a defining moment in a relationship because it was a breakup basically.
Yeah.
Because you guys had how many years together?
We did about
podcasting?
3 years together.
Okay. And so transitioning out of that, how did that affect your friendship?
Honestly, I think the main thing about our podcast is that I didn't want to lose the friendship after, she was leaving. Obviously, when we started the podcast, it was like we were on the same goal of like wanting it to become this big thing, and we were on the same page. And as time went on, you have different interests, you want to do different things,
life
and
changes.
It's just natural. Life changes, and I think that's kind of what happened. And obviously, at the beginning, I was shocked. Like,
Did you see it coming?
I did not really see it coming. I mean,
Okay.
it's tough because we had a conversation like 2 weeks prior to that, and she was like, no, like everything's fine. I think she just like wasn't ready maybe to say.
Yeah. Or maybe even like not even admitting it to herself.
Right.
Like, is this what I want to do? I'm not sure. I don't want to bring it up and then not. It's like really a breakup in a relationship. Like, okay, let me keep it to myself until I'm sure about it. But transitioning out of that, how do you feel like?
I mean, honestly, looking back now, I'm so grateful, obviously. But the beginning, every time you do something new, it's always going to be weird. And it's always like there's adjustments to be made. And looking back at it now, it's like I needed to grow in a different way. And I don't know if that would have happened if we would have continued podcasting together.
Yeah.
So in hindsight now, it's like it was the better decision. But yeah, the beginning's fucking weird. I'm like podcasting alone. I have no one to talk to. I have to like get
What
guests.
am I going to talk about?
And I have to get guests on all the time. It's like a week comes closer than you think.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Without planning, you have to just plan it out for the month. But
Yeah.
So you recently moved to Miami.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what?
ish.
Okay. So talk to me about that. You've been here for a while, right?
Yeah. So I am born in Montreal.
Okay.
So I'm a Canadian chick who's just out here trying to get her visa. And so, yeah, so I've been coming down to like Florida my whole life. Came down this December for New Year's. I normally come down for New Year's and kind of met a guy, but I had, before meeting the guy, I had originally said to my girlfriend, okay, well, like, I don't know what my move is. I don't know if I want to live in New York. Like, I'm trying to get these papers to, get my visa for what? Like, where do I want to go? And I think when you're like single, your life could really go anywhere. And it's like, I almost feel like even when I speak to my listeners, I'm like, I'm thinking of New York. Or like, even when I had went to Dubai, I was like, I could see myself in Dubai. Like, I'm just like, feel like I'm like all over the board.
Yeah. I feel that.
So that's
Same.
kind of how I've been. I'm like,
Retweet.
and then I was like, well, maybe I don't even have to choose. Maybe I could do like 2 months here, 2 months there. So that was kind of the vibe. And locked in with a girlfriend who also is from Montreal, who's like, let's get away for 2 months. Let's get a spot in Brickell. We found like a short-term lease. And so I had met a guy in December, went back, got my stuff to do like the 2 months here.
Okay.
So like I met him and it was almost like the timing of everything was just interesting. Like it was like, I just met you, but like I'll be back in a week and I'm doing 2 months here.
Okay, so did you know when you... Okay, wait, just back up. Rewind.
Yeah, sorry, there's like so many questions.
No, okay, did you know when you met him, like, okay, this is potentially going to turn into something, or were you just hopeful that it would?
Honestly, I feel like I've got burned so many times or like thought, this person could be for me. Yeah. And it just made me think like, maybe this could be another moment where it's like, I think he's a good guy. Yeah. He could just turn out to be a fuckboy. Like, so I guess after a while, you're just kind of like more reserved and you're like, I'm just going to go with the flow. Cause at this point, like, even if I think this guy could be really good for me, like, I don't know.
You never know
it's
until
so
you know.
Early days,
Do you feel like, cause I feel like I used to do this because I've been all over the map of like trying to figure out where I want to live. But do you feel like a guy influenced where you ended up?
Ooh.
Or like, did you have that in the back of your mind of like, maybe potentially I could end up in New York, or because like maybe I met someone there, or like, did you have that in the back of your mind of like, where can I potentially find someone?
Yeah. So I always thought my guy was going to be in New York, which is, I think, a little bit why I was like, well, my guy's in New York, so we got to go to New York.
That's where he is.
And then, New Year's, I was just like, okay, well, it's still cold in New York. And like going from like Montreal to New York, like the weather is like, what are we doing?
No difference.
So I was like, you know what? I'm down to do 2 months in Miami. And then I would say, influenced a little bit, more of my decision to move to Miami.
Yeah, because I feel like people wouldn't just move here to find a relationship.
Literally.
I'm like,
do people even find relationships in Miami?
What, like 3 months that you were here, you found something that most people don't find in years of being in Miami. So please walk me through how this happened.
I'm fucking dead. I've been on Raya for 3 years.
Okay.
A dating app. And basically, I'm a dater. Like, I will go on dates, go for that dinner.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm a social butterfly. Like, even if the guy sucks, I'll be like, whatever. Like, I got dinner out of this, or like, I met someone, whatever. But doing that after a while gets tiring, and it leads to a burnout. And then you start almost like not being able to be in a relationship because you're just like comparing every single guy to what you liked, what you didn't like. And I found myself being overly picky, honestly. Because I'm just like, I don't know, like this is weird about him, or like that, or like, I don't know. But like in hindsight, looking back now, being in a relationship, like I'm happy I was picky in the way I was just like.
Let's talk about that, because I feel like the longer you stay single, the more requirements that you have. And you're like, because you get so comfortable being by yourself. So how long were you single for?
I was single for almost 4 years. But I would always lie to people and be like, I feel like if people hear more than 3 years, they're like, okay, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So.
But I feel like that should be, okay, you were single for that period of time. That means you're comfortable being by yourself. So any person that you do decide to settle with is like, okay, that's definitely your person,
for
right?
sure.
Because you
see that
the time.
Now. Yeah. But like at the time, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to think like, why am I single?
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay.
Like, what's wrong with her? Being single for 4 years, I was dating around, seeing what I liked, what I didn't like.
Yeah.
I had like a situationship, but I was like, I don't think this is how it's supposed to feel.
No.
And I think like one thing I'm very proud of myself for is like, I guess like never going through with something for so long when I felt like it wasn't right. Like I would cut things off right away.
That's good.
And I would know that like, okay, what are we doing here? Like this is, I would always put in my mind like, this is not my husband. My husband wouldn't act this way.
I love saying that. I love saying that.
My husband would not do this. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And that was kind of always like, I think also to kind of like give myself the confidence.
Yeah.
To be like, no, you deserve somebody who's gonna act
But
this
I think
way.
when you do stay, it lessens your confidence.
Yeah.
Because you're staying with someone that you know is not right.
You're settling, essentially.
Yeah, you're settling. But okay, so out of the 4 years, do you feel like you had a laundry list? Like it kept growing of like the things that you wanted out of someone?
Yes, like I definitely, had a long list. But I also believed in like my non-negotiables, which was like 4 or 5 things. And I knew that like I'm not going to get everything out of somebody, and I just have to like pick what's of importance to me and then just focus on that, because I think there's a lot of times we have this list and we're not able to like budge on anything, and that's how I feel like you're gonna end up single forever. But also
no one's gonna be the perfect everything that you need.
Exactly. And when you meet someone that you really could see a potential future with, there's things that you're gonna be okay with not having. It won't be important to you because you'll have your non-negotiables.
Yeah. In this relationship now. Yeah. So you met him. Like, let's go through the story first.
So I'll give you the story.
The rundown.
So the rundown is I basically went on a date with a guy on Raya. He actually, oh my God, I never said this. So he actually flew me out to Miami.
Okay.
And we had like,
this was the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met on Raya. He flew me to Miami and we had like a weekend thing. Okay. We ended up hooking up, like girlfriend boyfriend shit. It was just like a 4-day fling.
Okay, I love those.
And then I went back and it was like, what's your name? But it just like fizzled out.
On your part or on
I think
just
on
like
both.
in general?
I think on both. Even when I left that, I was like, that's not my husband. Anyway, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And through that he had like organized a boat day, which he had brought his friend to. So over the last year and a half, I became friends with the guy I had a thing with, his
Okay.
friend. Every time I would come back to Miami, he'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you and your girl should come do X, Y, and Z with us. Like, he'd always
The
invite
friend.
us to like the friend.
I feel like as a guy, if your friend hooked up with someone, I feel like you can't take that girl seriously, right? Like, do you
I know what you mean.
like I don't feel like he was pursuing as a relationship, right? Or
Yeah, like I don't know if what he thought he was. I made it very clear. I was like, look, I hooked up with
not
your
interested.
friend. Like, I'm not that type of girl.
Yeah.
And he's like, he really wouldn't mind. And I was like, it's not even about him minding. It's like, I don't
mind.
I mind. I don't want that. So,
Okay, got it.
so yeah. So then we stayed friends. And then he was like, kind of asking me to set him up with some of my friends. And I was like,
Yeah.
no problem. Like, that I'll do. So he was like, I'm going to the one.
Yeah.
We're going to do like a whole beach day. Why don't you come with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, we have nothing else to do. Sure, let's go to the beach. I had no idea he had another friend joining.
Okay.
So when his friend joined, I was like, who is that? That is my type on paper.
Really?
Like, I liked everything about him, his vibe. And then, yeah, that was the start of
Okay.
that. So he knows the other guy too, which I think was like also weird transitioning.
Okay, but how close were they really?
No, not that close.
Okay.
But he knew
Fair.
him.
I know it's early days. Like, you've
Yeah.
only been dating for 3 months,
Yeah.
right? But do you feel like you know and you know? Like, looking back.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, I don't want to say that and
You're
then
like,
we break up and
jinx.
I'm like, fuck, I'm embarrassed that I just said that. But I think like when I look at him, I'm like, that can be the future. Like,
Yeah. But
my future
okay, so I
husband.
have listened to your podcast
Yes.
with you both.
Yeah.
Like your boyfriend and your podcast. I feel like it's like such a good dynamic between how he talks about you and the relationship.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like you guys are very much on the same page.
yeah.
And that's when things grow. And I also don't feel like either of you guys are scared, at least not on paper.
Right.
or on
No.
the podcast. But I feel like you're very open about like your feelings towards each other.
Yeah. And I used to be really scared of that. Like I'd always
Right.
like try and play these games where I'm like, I can't tell someone I like them, or I
Right.
always have to be more reserved or else they're not going to like me. Like I have to play this game.
Right.
And I think with the right person, you
You
honestly
just don't have to.
there's no games
don't
really.
have
It's
to-
like, this is how I feel about you. Like
Yeah.
it's so different.
I know. I feel like sometimes when I'm giving like dating advice online, I'm like, but at the end of the day, just do whatever you're going to do because you're going to find your right person or you're not. But you're going
Yeah.
to know and you won't have to play this persona that you've been playing. And I think it's worse when you do play this person
It's a
that you're
mess.
not because then you're not giving your authentic self and you don't
Mm-hmm.
even know if this person likes you for you or this version of yourself that
Yeah.
you've made up.
Also, when we had first started, like when he was like really into me at the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, I had this anxiety of like, but I feel like this is beginning stage. Like, what if
Yeah.
he kind of like gets over me?
So you have been together for 3 months.
Yes. It's so
And
new. I'm
now
like,
today is your big move-in day.
yes.
Okay, so you're moving in together.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so nuts.
No, okay, so but before you even met him, did you feel like that would be a situation that you would fall into? Did you have like boundaries around like I won't move in with someone
Yeah.
after a certain period of time?
Yeah. I kind of feel like a scam because I went online and said so much shit that now I'm like taking back. No, I'm like, why did I say that? Like, you can't talk until you experience it.
Right,
And like,
right.
it's nuts. Like, I'm like, why did I say all these things? I said like I would never move in with someone until I had a ring on my finger. And now
Yeah.
it's like 3 monmonths. And
Ooh, so about that.
like,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because when you say it out loud, it's like, oh, yeah, we're moving in after 3 months. It sounds crazy,
it sounds nuts.
but
I'm like, but I know what we have. It's a
you guys
mess.
don't get it. You wouldn't understand.
So yeah, so I wasn't planning on moving in with him. I guess sleeping more there than
Yeah.
at my spot.
As it happens.
I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't want to get rid of the sexiness.
Okay,
Like,
what
I
do you
still-
mean by that, though?
I mean, like, obviously, when you live with someone, you see everything. Okay.
Yeah.
You wake up, you're a mess, your
Yeah.
makeup, going to the washroom, everything. Like, they're seeing every side of you.
Yeah.
Where I think, like, I like the escape of knowing, like, I can go back, be hot, and then see him. Kind of like when you're at
Yeah.
that first stage dating where you're, like, only seeing the best of someone.
Right.
I didn't want to, like, him to see every single layer to
Right,
me
of
because I
course.
thought, like, it would change the way he felt about me, which is, looking back
I
now.
feel like when a
it's-
guy just is ready for it, he's ready for it.
yeah. But it's like, it sounds crazy, but it's like nothing about the relationship feels scared. Like, we don't feel scared to say anything. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we're on the same page. So like everything sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But to us, it's like not
normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
It's an us thing.
It's an us thing. Like you wouldn't get it.
Yeah. How is it transitioning from being single for 4 years to like meeting someone and spending so much time with them? Because thinking about it for me, like I've been single for 4 years now.
Yeah. Okay,
and
same.
So I'm just like can't be bothered like going to sleep in my own bed and like
get it.
having my own routine. I'm like adding another person into it. Like yes, it sounds nice and it would be great with the right person.
Yeah.
But it's such a transition because you're giving up a lot of parts of yourself.
Yes.
To get into a relationship.
100%. No, it's definitely very scary. And I think, I feel like I lived out being single. Like 4 years, like I've done the raya, I've done the dating, I've done the flyouts, like I've done it.
Yeah.
So I was really at a point now where I'm like, it would be nice to share my life with someone. And so I guess I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And I also thought I had commitment issues because I was like, well, like then my life's over. I meet someone and then it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
But it's really just not. It's just different.
It just gets better in different ways.
It gets better in different ways. And yes, you're compromising, but
Yeah.
you want to because you're ready for it. And I think if you are not ready to compromise any part of your life, then I think you should stay single.
Yeah. So speaking of compromising.
Yes.
Do you feel like you compromise anything on your like list of things that you wanted in a person?
Honestly, no.
Because sometimes I'm like, is like what I'm looking for, does it exist?
I would always think that way. And I don't know if it's just because like I love him now. So I'm like okay with the things he doesn't have. But for the most part, like if I can write down on paper my type and like through everything, through job, through family values, through the way he treats me, through like motivation, ambitious, like everything is there for me.
Okay. And that's the main stuff, honestly.
And I'm also sexually attracted to him. I always thought you can have both. You can be sexually attracted to someone and then get everything on your list that you want in a guy. Like I always thought it was like one or the other. Like you get a rich guy, but you're not going to be sexually attracted to him. Or like,
that is so wild.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've always felt like you can't get it all.
Yeah.
But the thing with him is like we're building together. It's not like I'm getting into this relationship and it's like I'm getting everything out. Exactly.
Let's talk about that because I feel like, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm 31.
Okay.
So I feel like at this age, and I go back and forth with this a lot, do I just need someone established already? Or like, would I be willing to grow with someone? But I'm also like, I don't know, because I've dated someone recently that was much younger.
Okay.
And he was still growing, and I was okay with it.
When you say much younger, how young?
I'm embarrassed to even say.
25? Younger? Okay. 23? Okay. Was he mature?
No, he was like honestly more mature than any guy that I've ever met. So anyway.
Was this the first time you dated someone young? We'll talk about it on my show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not typically my type. I usually go older, but I think it was just, I thought he was older. So to be fair.
Oh, okay.
We met on Instagram and then I just assumed that he was older and he's like, no, I'm 23. I'm like, oh, well, now that we're already in too deep,
right?
Let's just see where this goes. He had all the qualities I was looking for in a person, but I genuinely, at the end of the day, I think he was just way too young,
right?
For like, what I'm need in my life.
Yeah, like something with like my partner and I is like we're the same age, and I always thought that scared me. Like I was like, I have to date older.
Oh God, yeah.
I cannot date a guy my age. Like that's a recipe for disaster. But like looking back now, it's like
who cares?
We grew up in the same era.
Yeah, you get it.
We get things like music. Everything is kind of just, we were born in the same era, so it's just like easier to connect. Yeah, I think he's like super like generous with me, and like obviously like I've spoken on the podcast before about really wanting someone who's like super successful, and I have no doubt he's like so smart. Like the only reason I'm willing to like go through this with him is because I see his like qualities and potential. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of girls need to be more
100 open to.
But like, yes, if you're dating a lazy guy who's waking up every day and not doing anything, like, don't settle for a fucking bum loser. But if somebody's waking up early, they know exactly what they're doing with their day, they have their routine, they work like a dog, like they will make it. Like you can grow with someone like that.
Yes. So with the potential thing, I feel like that needs to be clarified, because he obviously is showing through his routine and how he moves, like that he's going to get there.
Yeah.
And you believe in that. I feel like as a woman, you have to believe in your man in order to get
100%.
there. If you don't believe in him or you doubt his vision or his mission, you're going to be confused the whole relationship.
100%. And I think you also have to be real with yourself in what you want in a partner.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be rich. He wants to be rich.
Yeah.
So we're on the same path in that sense. And like, he's even said like, oh, like you're taking a gamble with me. Like, what if, you know, it doesn't work out? I'm like, it will work out.
No,
and
yeah.
he's like, whoa. Like, I'm like, well, it will.
You put in work, it will work out.
I'm like, it will work out. And he's like, I know it will. But he's like, I'm like, if it means like I need to help you out, like we're going to figure this out together.
Do you feel like you were open to that before meeting him?
Ooh.
Like dating someone in the building phase?
Probably not.
But I also don't think it's like until you meet the person that checks every single one of your other boxes and he's showing you qualities within himself that he's going to get there. It's like, okay, then I can wait for that.
Yeah.
But I think way too many people are like settling for potential. Well, that too.
Yeah.
That. And then also settling for his potential that he says he has this like business plan and that never gets off the ground.
Right. I already met him when he was like creating his entire business. He's already like 8 months in. Like the ball's already rolling now. Yeah. It's more just like, I guess, having to take a chance on your man. But again, if like everything you see, like his routine is there and you see the way he moves every day, you're not really taking that much of a chance. No. I think personally.
No, 100. You see who someone is through their routine, where they're going to end up in the future. So if they're not making the moves and they're just talking a big game, like that's when you're settling for the potential of the man.
Exactly. But with that being said, you also have to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to be going on 1 million trips a year and you want to be traveling and your man is like starting a business
something big,
and you're not willing to like compromise at that point, then like you shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
You know, you should have like the same goal and want the same things. And with that, a lot of times is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so if you're not willing to sacrifice, then I say stay single and
live
be
your
the
life.
fly out girl if that's what you want. But yeah, I think a lot of times girls also say they want that, but then they're not willing to sacrifice and they still want the trips. They still want like their man to be very like in their lives and not be focused on work. But it's like
they
you don't
want
get
the purple unicorn. If you want the successful man, you know, you have to know what comes with it and what you're willing to sacrifice.
Exactly.
You have to know that you're not going to be the most important thing that he's working towards.
Exactly.
And I don't think a lot of people are okay with that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people say they're okay with it, but then they get in it and then they're like finding themselves lonely or they're like
oh, you're not
babe,
spending enough time.
Exactly. And it's like, well, babe, I'm doing this for us, you know? So sometimes there's a clash.
I think you have to be realistic. If that's the life that you want, you have to sacrifice the time with this person.
Exactly.
Or if you want more time with someone, he might not have as much money. He might not have as much things going on.
Yeah.
But it's really comes down to like, what life do you want for yourself?
Exactly.
And getting clear about that. But speaking of the fly out girl.
Yeah. Oh God.
Let's talk about that. So you've been that girl before.
Oh my God.
I sound like
but you've been that whore before.
I notice one when I see one. I'm just kidding. I've definitely been that girl more than once. So.
I mean, listen, what girl hasn't?
If they're offering you a trip.
If they're offering you a trip and it works out in your favor and like
it makes sense.
It makes sense. And look, like live your life. You know what I mean? Like don't listen to what anyone, obviously be safe.
Yeah.
And you know,
have an escape plan.
Have an escape plan if you're not feeling the guy. Things but like left. Yeah, I feel like the first time I ever got flown out was with my best friend. So I didn't do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I didn't do the deed alone. I'm acting like I went there to fuck. I didn't even fuck. But
okay, so did you stay with him?
So a lot of times in the past when when a guy really wants to meet me, and I always thought like my husband was never in Canada anyways. Yeah. So if I would fly out to see a guy, I would ask for like a hotel or I've stayed like 2 times with a guy, but I didn't really like that feeling.
Yeah, it's just like
I feel like I'm in your space. I feel like I have to like act
You owe
accordingly.
them- yeah,
I
it's just
owe
a
them
lot.
sex.
Yeah,
And
no,
like,
I don't like that.
and then it's like, what? You're going to be like, no, I'm not having sex with you the first night. And then it's like, what? You give it up on the second?
Yeah, like, okay, you're still staying over,
Okay,
and
you're
like
still-
we're spending every minute.
like, okay, you can play hard to get. Like,
What are you?
but no, there's been times where I'm like, I'm just like not feeling it. And I'll put my foot
Yeah.
down and be like, I'm not sorry. Like, I just met you. But then it's also like, I've realized after doing that like I don't do that anymore. Like the last 2 years, I was like, I'm not flying out to see a guy.
Absolutely not.
Maybe not the last 2 years, but
Wait.
like maybe like the last year. I was like,
Maybe
I
once or
feel
twice.
like this
Sprinkle
is
it.
not in my favor. Like I'm flying
It's
out,
not.
moving everything in
your life.
in my life
Yeah.
to be there for this weekend, to essentially be someone's girlfriend. It feels
Yeah.
like, and like
Just
I
for
have
a
to
weekend.
pack, just to pack, like, you know, as a girl, like all the things
everything.
before to just be there on the trip, like. While the guy just lays back, how easy is it for a guy to take his phone out and just book a flight for a girl? Like,
Yeah, it's so easy.
The true, like, actual, like, way of knowing if a guy's really interested in you is if he'll fly to
fly to
your
you,
city.
yeah.
Like, I don't want to move anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you want to meet me?
Come
Like,
to me.
come to me. Like, I'm fucking done.
Habibi, come to Dubai.
Habibi, come to Dubai.
No, seriously, I used to be that girl too, and honestly would just fly out. Even like if they
Like,
didn't
where
book
did
my
you
trip,
meet? Where did you meet the guys?
just
through?
like online, just
And like, what
Yeah.
was the vibe? Were they like, I want to meet you? Like sometimes you would. I like the idea of also paying my ticket because I'm like,
yeah. Then you're
you
not
don't
owed
owe
it.
me
Yeah.
anything.
But then,
I don't owe you anything. Sorry.
but I also like think we need to move away from that mindset because you don't owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
They decided to pay for your ticket. They decided to pay for your ticket.
100%. The amount of times like a guy flew me out, I'm like, sorry, like I'm not
Yeah, no,
hooking up
thank
with you.
Yeah, but I had one story. I actually have
Oh my
a
God, I
story
love
time on
this.
my podcast about this. But I flew out. It was in college. I was young. I flew. I had a free trip because my dad's a pilot, so I was like,
Okay.
I might as well just fly, whatever, for the plot. I had broken up with my ex, and I was like, I just need to like get myself back out there. So I flew to Dallas, and this man wasn't even in town when I flew there. He had one of his friends pick me up. It was this girl that picked me up. She brought me to her house. She's like, I've not heard from him. I don't actually know where he is. I didn't hear from him. He wasn't answering any of my phone calls. And so I'm in Dallas with this girl that I just met in her house after being there basically all day. He calls me. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm driving back from spring break. He went on spring break the day before. He comes back, and I was so angry at this point. I'm like, I don't even want to see this man, but I'm stuck until like Sunday. So I found out through this time being away from him that he didn't even have an apartment. He was homeless and he was couch hopping. And I'm like,
Sorry, come again?
no, I stayed on the couch with him.
Oh my God, Gabby. Honestly, when you have kids and your husband, you're gonna laugh
No,
at this story.
it's
We're
actually,
already-
it's so funny. Like, looking back, because I was
so wait,
young and
whose
dumb.
couch were you guys on?
The girl's couch.
Who's the girl?
The girl, I don't know. She's like, I don't really know him that well. Like, I don't know why he's staying here. We've met like 3 months ago. I don't know. Like, I guess you're staying on my couch with him. He didn't really tell me that you were coming.
The audacity to like couch hop and then also be like, hey, by the way, I have a +1 coming on an uninvited spot. Like
The audacity is
the
real.
audacity.
And then he's like, hey, I think we need to like get out of here because we can't stay another night. So the next night we went to another one of his girlfriend's house. Mind you, I'm like a broke college kid, so there's no way of me getting out of this at the
Right.
moment. All of his friends, because we met and like went out partying with his friends, and all of his friends were like, why are you with him? I'm like, I gotta go.
no, you're like,
No, this is so bad. We barely talked the entire time because I'm like,
did you guys sleep together?
like hook up? No, God no.
Okay. I mean, geez.
On the couch?
On the couch?
No, I was very upset.
Wow,
but-
okay. Yeah, I have no crazy stories like that. That one
Okay.
definitely takes the
the
cake.
cake.
That one takes the cake. That's
Okay.
nuts.
Have you had any bad experiences though?
Yeah.
Like, what was your
definitely.
worst?
I feel like I got like catfished.
Okay.
Yeah, like I feel like we like.
But do you
even
not FaceTime before?
Yeah, we FaceTimed.
Okay.
But like, I don't know. Everything about him bothered me when I saw him in person. Like just his
Yeah.
mannerisms and like we'd be walking down the street and he'd be like walking ahead of me, like
no.
manners and like saying things that just like turned me off. And I was staying
Okay.
at a hotel. And the first night when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, like
I can't go back. Where was this?
I was like, I don't like this guy. I don't like his mannerisms. And then I got so drunk that night because I'm like, how do I forget about this? I was just like, I need to be drunk. I need to be drunk for this. I'm not drunk enough. And then I ended up crashing. I had a hotel. I ended up getting so drunk, throwing up in his bathroom at his spot. And he was probably like so happy that like I crashed at his. And he was like even trying to touch me. I was like, I literally was like, I'm literally throwing up. Don't touch me. And then in the morning, I like got up, walk of shame, walked down to to my hotel.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe like I even slept here because I was so drunk. I was throwing up all night. And the next day he was like, hey, like let's do lunch. And I'm like calling my friends. I'm like, I can't do this. I literally think
Where
I'm
were
gonna go
you?
home today in New York.
Oh, okay, so
I was
it's
like,
not that far.
I need to go home today. I think I'm gonna book a flight. Like they're like, no, just do lunch with him. See, I did lunch with him and I was like, I'm done.
Fair.
Yeah.
Did you fly out after?
I ended up staying the night and went and meet up with another guy from Maya.
Oh, good.
And I told him, look, I'm not feeling this.
Well, that's good. You had a backup.
Savage. I had a backup because I had the hotel. Although I was worried he was gonna like cancel it and I'd have to like book my own.
He booked the hotel
He
too.
booked the hotel too.
Okay. Well, I love that.
Yeah. He booked the hotel and the flight. But I also get it from a guy's perspective. If they're like booking you, they're kind of like, well, stay with me, which I also get, but like it can be really uncomfortable for a girl.
Yeah, I think your priority should be making the woman comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you can't afford to like fly her out and put her in a place, then maybe you shouldn't have her come in.
I feel like a lot of times guys think like if a girl's being flown out, she's getting fucked. And like
it's not the case.
It's not like the case.
It's not the case.
It's not always the case.
It's not always the case.
Yeah, I'm like, let me fix that.
Hold on.
It's not always the case. I'm too honest. It's like that.
Wait a minute. All right. To wrap this up, I have a final question for you. If you could give advice to all the girls now being in a relationship, to all the single girlies, what would you say?
Don't stress about being in a relationship and like don't think that because you're getting older that you need to settle. Like really just do your thing. You know, go to places you love and your person will find you. I feel like we put a lot of stress on like finding someone. And looking back now, like being in a relationship, I feel like I wasted a lot of my 20s worrying about that.
Gosh.
And it's like, I wish I was more in the present moment and not worrying about that so much and just like living my life. Like it's such a waste. It'll come when it's meant to be. And obviously, you know, don't just stay home and hope that your man is going to knock at your door. Put yourself in the right, you know, places. And if you love certain things, normally you'll find somebody
doing the same thing.
So
I feel like 20s, if you're single throughout your 20s, it's such a stressful period. But these are the years that you need to live up. I feel like after 30s, I was like, honestly, I don't care. It'll happen when it's going to happen. Like life is good. I'm enjoying myself. I have everything that I need. And I've accepted that like what's to come is going to come.
Yeah. Do you ever stress about like being single for a long amount of time, or are you like?
I used to. I don't feel like I do anymore because I do actually enjoy my life.
Yeah.
Like it's so good.
Amazing.
I'm like, someone can only benefit coming into my life now.
And that's like when you'll meet someone.
Yeah.
When you're like at a point where you're happy with where you are.
Just like letting things happen.
Yeah. Where do you normally meet guys?
You know, friends, out.
Are you on any apps?
I hate apps.
I know.
I just feel like
I also hate people who say they hate apps though. I love you though.
Bye. I gotta go.
No, I have friends who are
I really hate, like I just
want to meet someone organically. I get it, but
that's not why I hate them though.
Okay.
That's not like I don't mind where I meet this person. It is what it is. But I feel like the apps, every guy that I've met on the apps has been so emotionally unavailable, so not looking for a relationship, so wanting to like get into a situationship, commitment issues. Like, there's just like, it's just filled with that.
Yeah.
Every guy that I've met organically hasn't necessarily had that. So
that's interesting, actually.
I just like, that's the only reason I don't like them, because I feel like it's where everyone just hangs out and is on for years at a time, just swiping through because they're bored.
Yeah.
It's just, it becomes like a habit in a game as opposed to like you're actually.
It's actually so true. I've been on like even Raya for 3
years. But like
years.
if you compare the people that you met naturally versus the people that you met online,
there's a big difference.
It's such a big difference.
I think also because through friends, you're normally like,
Yeah.
they're vetted, right?
Yeah.
So probably share more of the same interests.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the thing is like my boyfriend now like was on Raya. We were both on Raya. We just met organically.
Yeah.
And I
Would you have
wonder-
swiped on him?
I don't think so. And I was at a point where I was like, I'm done with Raya. I'm done with like guys. I'm just like, I'm over it. Every time I would like leave town, I would change my location. This time I was like, I actually don't give a fuck. And that's when I was like, that's when I met someone where I was like, I'm done with the app.
Literally, if anything you take away from this, I don't care about anything.
It's so hard though to be like, don't care, don't.
But I do think that opens up your energy.
It does.
Because you aren't attached to anything. You're just like, oh, whatever is going to happen. Like, I'm so over it. I'm really so over like.
Even the day I met him, I was like, I think you guys should all go meet the guy I used to sleep with's friend. You guys go have fun with him. Like, I don't want to come.
You weren't even
like,
going to go.
No, they were like, come.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I was like, thank God I went.
Yeah. Life happens in crazy ways.
Do you believe in soulmates? Sorry, just
No.
yeah. Close up.
Yeah, I do. But I think it comes in many forms. Like, I think we have multiple soulmates.
Definitely.
They could be platonic or romantic.
Yeah.
And I think that it just depends on where you're at in life. I think a soulmate's purpose is to help you grow and elevate as a person that stays long term in your life. But do you believe them?
I believe in soulmates. I don't necessarily think there's just one.
Yeah.
I think that like, I don't know, when we think about how many people are in the world, like, is there just one?
No way.
I don't think so. But like, you know, when you think about it and it's all cutesy, you want to be like, yeah, like, you're my only one.
You're like, you're my one.
But
you're
like,
the one that you chose.
Yeah.
So I feel like you just continue to choose each other and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think like, let's say something happened, you guys did break up. There's going to be another person out there for you. That wasn't like,
right.
You know, like that wasn't your just one person and then you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more people out there.
I think also you can connect with a lot of people, but it's like you said, you guys have to both want it.
Yeah.
Or else it's like, it can be
like,
your ideal guy, but
point?
if he doesn't want it either, then he's not your guy.
I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
You have to be on the same page about wanting it. You can't force someone, especially a man. You cannot force a man to want the same things.
No. And if you play games in order to get him to want it, even when you're in it, it's going to be toxic.
Yeah.
Do you normally date nice guys or do you go for like assholes?
Yeah, no, I don't like assholes. I really actually don't like assholes.
Have you always been that way? Because I used to like assholes.
No, I used to. I think women, it's not that we go for assholes because they're hidden assholes, right? Like, I feel like they start off as like these nice guys that turn into like the toxic, like.
Yeah.
But they obviously we wouldn't go for someone who's like just treating us poorly, like straight out of the gate, you know? But yeah, I did go for like the cheeky toxic because I wasn't also emotionally available myself.
Which makes sense. It's easier to attach yourself to something like that.
Also wasn't healed. So like I think that's like a big part of it too. So you tend to attract where you're at.
Yep.
And now I'm like, even if I sense like a slight like cheekiness that's like, oh, I know you're like a toxic F-boy. I'm not. I get the ick so quickly now.
Oh my God, I'm the same.
I went on a date before I left. Like, it was a really good date, but I just didn't, I internally did not trust him. And I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I ended it because I'm like, I'm not going to continue to see where these flags go. Yeah. I know intuitively that like, this isn't it. So why would I continue?
And I think that's really good that you noticed it and then cut it off. And I think it
takes a lot to get there.
It takes a lot to get there, but I really think that the people who are able to cut something off when they know it's not good for them always get what they want in the end. Ooh. And it's honestly, it's true. If I look down at like even some of my girlfriends who are not able to cut things off that they know they should, that are toxic, you're living in like this scarcity mindset where you don't think that you'll get what you want, so you're settling, and internally mindset. Like God or whatever you believe in is never going to give you what you deserve if you're not able to close that door on your own.
Because you're playing on that level field.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to be like, actually, no, I'm good on that. I deserve. If you don't think you deserve that, you'll always settle for the guy. Exactly.
Even if you don't think that you're deserving of it, like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Like tell yourself, like, no, I am that bitch. Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I am that bitch. I do deserve someone who loves me. And you know, it's
easy to get sucked into though if you don't actually believe it.
100%.
You have to heal. We'll talk about this on your podcast.
Yes.
If you guys want to know more about this,
Yes.
go over. You can plug yourself, actually.
Yes. So head on to X the podcast. I am on YouTube, Spotify, Snapchat, and
Snapchat.
Yes, I put my clips on Snapchat.
Okay, love that.
And yeah, and my Instagram is Alessia Deandra. So follow me there.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will see you guys all next Tuesday.